Hello, hello, hello. We are back for more assembly. For me, it is Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. For you, if you're watching this when it posts, it's Thursday, 9 a.m. And when on replay group, it's whatever time it is, wherever you are in your universe. Today, for this video, I will be assembling this steampunk image. It's not an image. This is an image. This is not an image. Uh, I have punched out all the pieces in 3 different colorways. So along with me for the assembly. I've also finally my old bottle that broke. I was down to like this much glue in the bottom. So I went ahead and transferred into the new bottle. I also combined several of my Elmer's, my school glues into this. So there's a Elmer's gel glue that I squirted in here. So I'm kind of slowly mixing it in. You can see kind of the blue. Maybe you can see it. I can see it. Some blue streaking in there, and that's the gel, which, hopefully it blends. Okay, so this, I'm just trying to I'm going to separate the pile out a little bit and try to get my little pieces, little pieces together in one spot. Pull these down here because this will be the first step that I'm going to be doing. Get my gears in one spot, my base in one spot, and then the clock hands in one. So I should have 8 of these little quote unquote screws. And I had 8 when I made the pile. Currently I'm only seeing 3. Okay, so I'm scanning. Okay, it's not in there. It's not mixed up in that. And I don't understand how pieces that just sit on my desk end up getting lost. I don't understand it. I said there should be 6 dots, which there are. Three little hands. I don't understand. I'm just going to put these over here on the dark spot, this little square over here, just so hopefully I can see them a little better. I'm gonna slide these over. I'm gonna trying to see whether somehow or another my piles got mixed together, but I am not seeing them in there either. Okay. I kid you not, they were in this pile last night when I went to bed. Oh, there's one. That goes. That goes there. Okay, there's two more. What do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm still missing two. You see how hard they are to find. I mean, obviously the colored ones are going to be a lot easier to keep, because they're not blending in with my table color. Just doing another sweep here. I know I'm sitting here thinking, did I? Don't you be turning off on me. Okay, I'm going to not sit here and stress over trying to find the two missing pieces. I'm just going to pull the template out. Pull the little die out. Get into my craft garbage since I'm not doing a full-on cut. So bear with me for a second, guys. Let's see. We're just going to take this. And I'm just going to go right there on the edge because I only need two. Come on. I may end up with more than two. Who knows? I end up with some halves. Just depends on where that actually ended up falling. The joys of this. This is like a half. I broke it in half. It cracked and it kept getting stuck, so I just broke it in half. Because as I've said before and repeatedly, I'm stubborn. And I will use the product until it quite literally cannot be used any further. Okay, so there's one. There we go. I should just start cutting those out and just automatically cutting out extra. Since I tend to lose them a lot. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave them just right there on that dark square, just so that hopefully I don't lose them again, and they don't blend. Don't lose them into my table. Trying to organize myself here just a smidge. I have this one down here. I figure out which Which way's up? And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sure that I'm going to find those missing ones at some point on my desk. I'd almost guarantee it. I'd be shocked if I didn't, if I'm being completely frank, just because, it's the nature. Okay, and then these ones. Set this aside. Those. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, and where's number 8? And it appears we have a repeat problem. We have 7. And I need 8. Get that back out. And again, grabbing one of my scraps because it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just going to randomly put that on there. I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of extras, so no biggie. One way, then the other until it pops out. Set that aside for a moment. Now, if and when my drive-in chat from yesterday ever actually uploads into YouTube, I was talking about my Syzyx and contemplating upgrading it to an electronic version. But you'll see in that video, you watch it. It actually should upload before this one, in theory. Fingers crossed. But I explain in there why I've opted not to upgrade to an electronic version. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Dot of glue. 1, 2, 3. Dot of glue. Dot of glue and dot of glue there. So 5 go on this one, 3 go on this one. Okay. Just start with that. And again, all I'm going to do is wet the tip of this just to give it, so that it sticks a little easier. Okay. In theory, that normally works just fine, but it is not working. Not working for me today. Okay. So with that, look at me. We get out a pair of tweezers then. It would help too. I mean, these tweezers are not straight. My tips on some of them don't come together as a tip at the tip. It's like they're crooked. So, using them as a pair of tweezers sucks. Because the tips don't line up. I can tell you right now, this is going to irritate me if this is how things are going to go this morning, though. Just kind of put a little bit of glue, essentially, on the tips of the tweezers. Flip, guys. Come on. That is like not even the right color. Weird. Okay, so there's that. Getting the screws put on there. Grab a dry wet wipe. Get off the excess glue here. Okay, and the same with this one. It's about every third gear. And then on the end, and then this one's the second, the fifth, and the seventh. Close the glue up in between. How much quicker this goes when things actually work the way they're supposed to. There. Look how quick that went. Dab up the extra glue. And then last but not least, blue and brown. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Whoop. Sorry about that. Although I totally just realized my microphone was off to the side, pointing in the wrong direction. One of my hairs. Now, if I decide to use any of these in my steampunk journal, um, obviously I'll tie these colors in other places. I'm not just going to have like a random whoof of, baby blue. I promise I will make it make sense. Okay. The next piece I'm going to do is these. I'm going to scoot these off to the side so they can dry. Right. Find a place to and touch it where it's not going to glue to my finger. Okay. This is the only thing that's the same. I printed these, or I die cut these out of the same background paper on all three of them. There is some drying time involved here because I'm like, where's my parts? Again, these ones blend in really well with my um, with my table. If you saw my last video, if you watched it, I did the gluing last time with my Fabrifix, which does decrease the drying time necessary for parts. But it's a lot harder to get the precision because it doesn't have. I mean, it's a finer tip than the manufacturer bottle. Doing it in the sugar bell icing bottle, you have a smaller tip opening, but it's still fairly big for something that requires the precision like this does. Okay. My dry paper towel keeps sticking to my hand. Okay. And I am going to do this just slightly different than I did with my first one. And that's only because I mean, the prototype is hard to do regardless, because you're doing it for the first time. So you're bound to make mistakes. You're going to learn from the experience, um, and that kind of stuff. But on the pattern, it shows doing things one way. And then when I got the prototype done, I don't really like the way it looks. So I'm going to alter it ever so slightly. And again, I'm just trying to and right now I'm kind of like, for people that sew, you'll know the terminology. Some other crafting, you'll know the terminology. Right now I'm just tacking the pieces on, and once it's all assembled, I'll go back and like go up underneath it again. That's why I'm using this glue so that I have the that fine tip to be able to get underneath stuff. This one I'm gluing all the way around because it is not hanging over anywhere. Let go of the table. And then I also want to make sure that so as that piece goes from there to the middle of this one. So I want to make sure that it's in the right spot. Same for this one. Take this small one and we'll going to put it there as if. And then we're going to come in here. We're going to find this little tiny ear. And we're going to hold that. Just so we can figure out, just so we can measure where that gear goes based off of where I put that first one. Same here. Get the little one out. Tiny little gear. And I'm going to hold that in the center there. Yeah. Just like that. Slide that off over there. And in fact, this one is on top of everything else. So I actually could glue those on right now. So come on, glue. There we go. Okay. This is one of the changes that I'm making because on the picture, it's got the centers of the gears first, and then this little spoke arm. But I'd rather have the end of the arm covered by the center of the gear. And there. And again, we're coming across into the center of that small gear. Do the same on this one. Okay, rewind. I'm attaching that to the wrong thing. I just realized I attached it to the wrong thing in my prototype. I was following my prototype, is what I was doing. And I'm like, nope, that would be incorrect. Okay. Rewind. Next pieces are the long, the long pieces. The glue that's in that bottle right now is definitely thicker than what I was using before. It's having some arguments about coming out of the bottle. So I probably have to go in and water it down some. So this piece it touches this big gear up here, and then it crosses over this bottom tip down here. And right now it's glued to the table. Because I didn't think about that when I put glue on it. I put glue on the whole thing and I only really needed it there and here. So I only need it here on the end. And then down here between 3 and 4. We want glue to the navel. And again, overlaying on the gear. Breaking across that tip down here at the bottom. Okay. Then these go this way, that way, and this way. And they go across this point up here. So I'm just going to put some here and here, here and here, there and there. Just so I can put the glue down and leave it. And you are leaving some of that corner up there because you're going to have a sprocket, a gear that's going to attach to it in just a moment. And yes, as you can see, there's going to be a little bit of variation because, you know, I'm a human. There's another little screw. Hey. Most definitely where it comes in handy using the Fabri-Tac versus white glue, because white glue takes a bit longer to dry. Okay, and then the next step is it that one? Yes. So you bring these two down. These two down. And these two down. Because these get kind of sandwiched in like so. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to go across the center bar, down the center, making like a little T there. Just so that I can glue it to the triangle underneath. And give it just a smidge more stability. This one I didn't do that with. I kind of like twisted it so that it wasn't lined up with the base underneath. And I like the look of it. The problem is that it's not very stable. It doesn't have a whole lot to grab onto. So it's weakened by the design. And again, same thing. Just kind of putting it up against, but not under or, you know, over this piece here. So it's just butted up against that, glued onto that back triangle. And then this little circle here wedged in right here. Hey. Let go of my finger. Now, at this point in the game, I think I'm going to not worry about the fact that things are getting glued to my table, because I'll just come in with um, my little flat spatula thing for my Cricut, and I'll pry it off the table. Because, the table's giving it some stability while the glue sets. So I'm kind of, in a way, gluing it to my table. Okay. Now let's glue these where they're supposed to go. This one goes from the center of this sprocket into the center of that circle. Well, ideally into the center of that circle down there. I need to find me some YouTube approved music. So, and you may be noticing that what I was trying to do when I was, using, these skinny little pieces as measurements going across, um, because I was kind of late in the process in thinking that, and I was not able to do it where it was supposed to be going appropriately. They're not lining up in the centers, and I'm just going to have to be okay with that, because, yeah. Next pieces is I'm going to glue, oops, wrong one. Glue these big ones on, and using the other curved sorry, that was a quick mute. I had to sneeze like really bad. Using these as the measuring so that I can kind of figure out where that other sprocket needs to go. So first I'm going to do this. Get that in the center. Get it to stay in the center, I should say. it's kind of the joys of quote unquote joys of this kind of crafting, is that no matter how many ways, how many times you do something, every one of them is going to be just ever so slightly different than the last one. Because again, it's it's human. I'm not a machine. And so there's not precision of a machine that goes into my crafting. Lift this up a little bit, get some glue up underneath there. Every once in a while, I have to remember to look up and make sure that I'm still on camera. And now, because I placed this one based off of the bar going here earlier, that was by bad brain. This is a little further over than I would like for it to be. I wish it was just a smidge over on all three of them, just because that is going to determine where these gears go. And it may not have the triangle to connect itself to. And just going to free that from the table. The glue is drying, but it is still wet. Look, another screw. And another one. Because at the end of the day, these need to attach to the bar. And ideally, it would attach to the bar as well as to the tip of the triangle. Since I can't guarantee that, what I'm going to do, see, like this one is not going to be on that triangle. So other than like a tiny itty bitty smidgen of a point. So I'm putting extra glue on one of the arms of the gear. To coincide with the bend of the control arm. And see, this one's not going to touch at all. There's that one. And then this one. This one's not going to touch either. That blue one barely, I mean, it's like not even worth mentioning that it touches, because it's so minusculely touching that, it doesn't even really count. Get that down in the glue. Okay. Okay. Now with the little short arms here. And the short arm goes from this center into this center. Ideally. But this is why I wanted to do the gear centers afterward, because then I can use the circles um, to cover up any any goobers where my stuff doesn't connect like it's supposed to. Because again, I'm a human, so errors happen. And this one from the center of that into that circle. Glue this one down, and then I'll take a gander at my screen and make sure everything is still in line, since I know I'm moving stuff around, spinning stuff, moving, sliding stuff around. Let's do this. Oop. Huh? Now, I'm like, what am I? Oh, it's this one. I'm like, what am I missing here? Like, why do I have something missing on all three? But I don't. It was just the way my brain was interpreting what it was seeing, is all. So this piece, this last gear, and again, what I should have done was put the glue. I put too much glue. But I also don't know where it's going to go, where it's going to land. Because of the human error. So just go around the outer circle, and then I can come back in and do the straight edge in a minute. So I'll flip this over just so I can get the extra glue here. And then what I'm going to do is squirt some glue up under here on this straight edge. Boop. Yeah, it weren't going to happen. Probably should. Oh, that one's glued because I put too much glue on that one in the first place. Now you take these other straight piece. It's a little longer than the first one. And it goes from the center of that gear into center of that circle. And one more. This one. Before I get too much move on to the next step, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna lock my shark out of my craft room. Ta-da! Save me some of the aggravation of having to yell at it in the middle of filming. Okay. Now we're going to put on the arms. This one goes off from the side this way, and it also is part of the middle of this circle. I'm going to put a little bit on the end here, and then another daub of glue there. So that can glue in there and then on there and kind of hold itself. And then this one goes in from the center also. And kind of comes out. I mean, you can put it wherever you want it. Depends on, do you want it to be able to go whichever direction you want it to go in. See, this one, it's going right over the tip of the triangle like this. So in this case, it would be like 650. If you think of it like a clock. I'm going to go in between the gear and that plus. The gear and the tip on this one. And it may be different on each one. Just remind you of that. Come on, glue. This is why I don't like wet glue. Just saying. Throw that out there. That's why I prefer my Fabri-Tac. Glue, it holds faster, it grabs faster, it glues, it dries faster. And then this one. Right there. And this so it's facing the right direction. The center goes in there. And I'm just attaching it right here. After this all dries, I'll go in and I'll shoot some glue. I'll just do it now. Shoot some glue up underneath there. Okay, so I'm going to put glue all down the shank. And then I have this one going off in this direction. maybe not quite that far. I'm going to go right there. Again, I'm kind of gluing to the table. And that's just about giving it something to hold on to while it dries. Got the entire shank there. And a bit of glue there. Where'd it go? Oh. It was glued on me. It was on my shirt. And then this one, again, I'm going to do the long part of the shank. Oh, sorry, off camera. Long part of the shank. And then, let's determine where I want this one to go. I'll go right there. So again, into the middle of that circle. Giving that a smush down. Run this up underneath. There we go. That's what I use this for most often. to be blunt and truthful about about that. I use it for cleaning glue off of my table and for exactly what you just saw me doing. Okay, so the last steps is installing all the gear circles, the centers. Move that one out of the way so I can move these in closer. There are 5 different sizes for the 5 different gear, or 6 different sizes for the 6 different gears. Get back over here. Spread these out. Okay. So I'm going to start with the big one in the center. See how I wanted these on top instead of on the bottom? In the pattern, it's got them all underneath. It's got the circle underneath. And then all the individual rods on the top. And I'm like, well, that's not very neat looking, though. Like, clean neat, not awesome neat. This creates a nice finished look. Okay. Now, the biggest of the circles goes in the center of that. And then these 5 go from small to big based on the size of the gears that are left. So we're going to start with the little one. Which is this top one here. I'm just going to dab that in the glue just a little bit, just so that I can pick this up. quit sticking to my finger. Just give it a little dab, get the extra glue off. Make sure that's as centered as it can be. Sorry, I'm laughing at my shark. It's like, hey, as it just slams itself into my door. Next biggest size. Oh, slammed into the door again. Keep it knocking, but you can't come in. These ones are thicker because it was originally so they're backed onto cardstock. So they are a little thicker than just like construction paper, not construction paper, cardstock paper, because it's decorative paper on top of cardstock paper. So it is a little more challenging to get it to lay appropriately because, you know, it's got some height to deal with. Dab up the extra glue. Okay. Fourth one is over here. And we're going to come back in, dab, dab. Let's adjust that just a smidge. Dab that one. Okay. And then last but not least is this big one on this side. Again, just going to dip a little bit in the glue just so that I can pick up the tiny little piece. Normally I would just get the tip of the tweezer wet, but for some reason that is not working this morning. So into the glue. Into the glue it is today. Dab. Rolling the paper towel around, trying to find a spot that's not all gluey. Okay. And remember, this piece is not glued to anything other than this little rocking arm here. So when this goes into a journal, I wouldn't want to put this in as something that's going to have stuff sliding behind it, except, if I'm going to glue it like that so that stuff can slide in, I'm going to need to make sure that I glue this side down and stuff slides in from this side, because this is going to be more stable because everything's kind of glued to itself. Whereas this is just to this little arm. Same here. It's not glued to the triangle, and that is just because of where I ended up placing this little sprocket here. If this was a little further over, I could have had this slid in just a little bit to catch that corner. But that was because I was using this on the wrong spot, using it to measure, and I'm like, oh, wrong. But by the time I realized it, these were already glued down, and there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. This one has just a smidgen of a hair where that gear is wanting to attach to the tip of the triangle. But I don't know if it's going to be solid enough to hold it. So again, if I was to decide if I was going to glue this straight down onto a page just as a decoration or onto a pocket or onto a tag, no biggie, because I'm going to glue all of that down. But if I wanted to do it as a tuck of some sort, then yeah, I'd have to glue this side completely down in order to secure this gear here. But there you have it. Let me do this. There are these 3 done today. Ta-da! And there was the prototype. So with that, I just want to say thank you once again for tuning in to craft along with me. And if you're into steampunk, stick around. I will always be tagging the playlists at the end of each video so that you can go back and watch everything that I've done so far along the journey of making it. So watch for that at the end of the stream as well. But until next time, I will talk to you later, and have a good day. Bye. Maybe. There we go.